All right, so we're going to start working with trapezoids, looking at our review number 13, and the question number 13. Instructions here says find a measurement of the angle indicated for each trapezoid. Because I told you that the sides are equal, then the angles on the left have to repeat as the two angles on the right. Not only that, but looking at the two angles on the left, I see that one of them is 135. I can find out how big is angle N. That way I'm going to do this. I know they have, the two combined have to add up to 180. So for me to find that other one, I'm just going to go 180 minus 135, which happens to be 45. So this angle right here, it is 45. I just said earlier, because this side is equal to this side, the angles on the left repeat on the angles on the right. So the angle where we have the question mark, that is 45 degrees. Let's take a look at number 14. In this case, I'm dealing with the diagonals. I'm telling you that LN is 7.8. LN is this diagonal. I'm asking for the other diagonal, KM. On the trapezoid, where the two sides are equal, the two diagonals are equal to each other. So if LN is 7.8, KM is also 7.8. The two diagonals are equal to each other. Now, question number 15. I know in 13 I was dealing with trapezoids. I was dealing with an isosceles trapezoid. Now 15 is not going to be isosceles. The two angles on the left, they have to add up to 180. And I have to solve for this one. It says find the measure of the angle indicated for each trapezoid. These two angles, 140 and angle S, those two angles add up to 180. So for me to find out how much angle S is, I'm just going to go 180 minus 140. And that's how I find out how big is that angle. That angle is 40 degrees. Remember, the two angles have to add up to 180. Now, let's take a look at number 16. 16 and 17, I'm dealing with the angles of a parallelogram. The angles are opposite. Angle T and angle V are opposite. So in this case, they equal each other. X plus 75 equals 2x plus 75. Right, I'm looking at angle T and angle V. Those two are opposite from each other, so they're equal to each other. Now, if they were adjacent, like let's say this instead of angle V was angle U, 2x plus 75. In that case, I would have added the two angles, x plus 75 plus 2x plus 75, and equals to 180. Opposite angles are equal to each other. Adjacent angles add up to 180. In this case, they're opposite, so they equal each other. All right, so now I'm just going to work this as an algebra question. My 1x, I'm going to move it to the right as a minus x. My 75, I'm going to move it to the left as a minus 75. So I have that 0 is equal to 1x. That's my answer. Now, looking at question number 17, angle M and angle L, the entire angle L, they're adjacent. That means they add up to 180. So the way I'm going to work this, I'm going to say 80 plus 4x plus 7 plus 49 equals 180. My 4x is just 4x. But 80 plus 7 plus 49, I can combine that. 80 plus 7 plus 49. Let's see, that's 87 plus 49. It's 136 equals 180. I want to leave the x alone, so my 136, I'm going to move it to the right as a minus 136. So 180 minus 136, that is 44. 4x equals 44. Divide by 4. X equals 11. So dealing with angles, if they're opposite, like number 16, they're equal to each other. If they're adjacent, like number 17, I can also deal with adjacent in question 16. When they're adjacent, they add up to 180. Now, when it comes to sides, I'm looking at question number 18. FE is one side, GD is another side. They're opposite from each other. Then in this case, they equal each other. So I'm going to say that 13 equals -5 plus 2x. The rest is just solve for x. I have an x on the right, so my -5, I'm going to move it to the left. That's +5. So I get that 18 equals 2x. Let me divide by 2. X in this case is equal to 9. Now, lastly, let's take a look at number 19. One way we can actually work this, look at the equation where x is. So I'm looking at RT equals 5x minus 3. Try to find out how big is RT. RT is the entire thing here. We know WT is equal to 11. So this much is 11. That means that RW is also 11. Now RT, the entire thing, is equal to 22. So I'm just going to say 22 equals 5x minus 3. It's going to solve for x. My minus 3, I'm going to move it here as a plus 3. 25 is equal to 5x. Let me divide by 5. X is equal to 5. I know yesterday when we were looking at this, when we're comparing the thing, RT is the big thing. WT is only half of it. I know I mentioned when I give you the whole thing and then half, you can either multiply the little one by 2 and equals the big one, or you can divide the big one by 2 to let it equal the little one. Notice I multiply the little one by 2. That's why I got the 22 and equals 5x minus 3. Now the quiz tomorrow is going to have 20 questions. From number 13, we're going to have 2 of them. From number 14, we're going to have 3 of them. From number 15, we're going to have 3 of them. Now, number 16, angles. I can be dealing with opposite angles or adjacent angles. We're going to have 9 of them. That's including 17 as well, and number 18 as well. So from 16, 17, and 18, we're going to have 9 of them. Now, from number 19, we're going to have 3 of these. So that's how we're going to have our 20 questions tomorrow.